The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board meeting, June 23rd, 2020.
Order the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board regular meeting, June 23rd, 2020. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Kurt, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start out with public comment. Any public comment? George, do you have any?
I do.
Please come closer so Maureen can hear you.
Who?
Maureen.
Maureen can hear you, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, on your agenda item regarding capital improvement projects in regards to the White Pine Community Choir Association requesting $8,000 to replace their roof, that needs to be denied. It is a private club. The building is not a public facility, not government owned. It's not ADA compliant, even minimally. NRS forbids you from promoting a private business and or club and put you guys on notice. You just can't do that. They sent me to the Ethics Commission for putting in a clean out for a lady who had sewage backing up in her house. That was nothing. This is a lot of something. Madam Chairman, I want to remind you that $4,000 given to the community choir needs to be returned. They were not a 501c3 entity when they received the money, and they cannot circumvent the law, and neither can this board. Recently, they put in another black plastic cover on the entire roof. No permit, no inspection. Did they even hire a licensed contractor to do the work on the commercial building? I can't get a permit to re-roof my residential property. The building inspector wants me to hire a contractor. City inspector selectively enforcing the law, as well as the city council, White Pine Commission, and possibly you. Can't have it both ways. Let's see. Madam Chairman, on the agenda item Roman numeral 27, regarding capital improvement projects in regards to the Nevada Northern Railway Foundation, Start Train viewing area, Engine 81 boiler works and tubes, that needs to be denied. They have not given you any required paperwork from previous grants and how it affects tourism. I want to remind you, they don't operate under the Nevada Open Meeting Law. You have no way of knowing how that money is being spent. There's rumors going around that there are tens of thousands of dollars of embezzlement happened out there. We don't know. That needs to be addressed by city officials, county officials, and this board. You can't just give out money, have rumors going around tens of thousands in embezzlement, and everybody's a happy camper. I can tell you this, I'm not happy. I want to know where that public money is, and you have an obligation to check that out. Madam Chairman, on your agenda item Roman numeral 27 regarding capital improvement projects in regards to the golf course request, I remind you that there's been no required paperwork from previous grants on how it increased play. That's part of the game. You want the money, and it's done for tourism, show me the numbers. We haven't had anything in years. They need to step up to the plate, or they need to go back into the county auspices and get their money from there. They are granted more money from this facility, this board, than they are from the county. It's not a tour and rec golf course, it's a county golf course. They need to take care of that.
That's 3 minutes. Thank you, George.
Thank you, Mr. Tatchis. Wayne, do you have any public comment?
No, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Maureen. Well, we're glad you're all here too. All right, we'll start with Roman numeral 2, new business, discussion and for possible action, approval of the agenda, including removal of agenda items. Any board members want to make any changes or deletions? Looking for a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Second, anyone?
I'll second it.
Thank you. There's been a motion to approve from Kurt and second by Brian. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, discussion and for possible action, approval of minutes, May 26, 2020, the 4 PM meeting.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented for the May 26th meeting.
Question for the attorney. I was absent. Do I need to abstain?
No, you do not.
Thank you.
Abstentions are very narrow. So, I know it's been a practice in this county amongst all kinds
Yeah.
of boards, but I think it's kind of not necessary.
Okay. I'll second.
Thank you. Marietta made the motion and Brian made the second. Any discussion further than that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried, thank you. Discussion and review of the financial report.
Okay,
Mr. Horvath.
so, we'll start with the room tax collected, so this will be this form right here. And, we are still feeling the, effects of COVID in regards to the amount of room tax collected, but not quite as dismal as the month before, and certainly this month is taking off and looking to be a lot more promising than before, but we certainly won't be hitting what our projections were, you know, a year ago looking at it. So with the room tax collected for the hotel properties, we collected $87,869.40. For the RV parks and campgrounds, we collected $10,303.60 for a total of $98,173. How that was distributed is the golf course received $3,225.40. The city of Ely received a check for $15,492.35. The railroad was $14,544.15, and Torrent Rec was able to keep $62,184.07 for our budget. If you look at the room tax comparison, we're really just going to be looking at this one right here. Why that other form keeps making it in here, I don't know after so many months, but you can see that we're about 43% down from what we were this time last year in the amount of room tax collected in May, but certainly not the 64% from the month prior. So looking over at our year-to-date budget, pretty much with all that taken into consideration, our total income is about 81.65% what we had budgeted for. And so, you know, certainly a hit to the end of the year budget, not collecting these last 2 months of room tax, but you can see down at the bottom that we're still at an operating surplus going into the end of the year of $93,255.39. And so after today, essentially what I'm working on budget-wise is getting the last of the grants that we got from Travel Nevada reimbursed. And so, you know, what'll change between now and 1 week from now when the fiscal year ends is we'll have all of that grant reimbursement that'll come in, and then I'm gonna look at the last couple line items and see what we have left in regards to projects. And there's a couple grant proposals that I'd like to go ahead and remove from the grant proposal and just go ahead and pay with some excess money that we have in this year's budget. And we'll go over that when we get into the grants. But you know, even with the 2 big hits for the month, we're still gonna finish the year with an operating surplus and still have money to go ahead and take care of some of these projects that need to be moved forward.
So Kyle, have you heard from any of your colleagues in other areas on their reduction in room nights, their percentages?
Some of them, you know, are reporting 70-80% from what it was. You know, when we were reporting 60, they were reporting 70 to 80, and it seems like what I've been seeing is it's been improving by about 20%. So this 60 to 40, you know, 40 to 20 probably in June will be about 20% under where we were. But that seems to be what each community is going at. But certainly, you know, places like Elko, Reno, Las Vegas hit so much harder than we were hit. Thankfully, like last week, we had the motorcycle rally with the Christian motorcyclists and the POBOBs. Things like that is what's going to keep us going, you know, through the summer. And the fact that happened last month means that June is going to be a lot more promising than the 2 months beforehand. So,
Have you heard how bookings are for the July 4th?
I haven't gotten anything back or any reports from the lodging properties of where they're at right now.
It's going up.
Okay.
You've got bookings.
Yeah.
I mean, we are marketing that we are one of the one of two only places that are shooting fireworks off. You know, we're marketing heavily, you know, the parade that's going on, and essentially, you know, to our surrounding communities to be like, all right, you guys, like, why do you have to leave the state? Come have that staycation here in Ely, parade, murals, fireworks, breakfast, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I'm hoping 4th of July will be a good one. But in all honesty, I mean, who's coming out here? It won't be an all-class reunion, but it'll still be a really good month because it's summertime in Ely.
We still have class reunions.
Right.
I can tell, you know, even talking to the Hotel Nevada, it seems like a month ago, everybody was like, well, what's gonna happen? Now you can see it kind of transpiring to, people are doing bookings last minute and trying to get up here, so.
Well,
I think we'll be booked,
good.
the whole town.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that the Great Basin Service Club did not pull the plug on it. They have been great about it, and they changed their theme, and they just are rolling with it, and it was wonderful.
Yep.
Because it was easy to join the crowd.
Yeah, well, and I think the thing we have going for us is still, we're still new. Every time we put something out, you know, in Las Vegas or Southern Utah, people are still like, wow, I had no idea. So the fact that we're boasting trail development and the fact that we're boasting new murals being developed, you know, that's the type of positive stuff that we've been marketing this whole time that other communities just haven't. And that, it looks like it's paying off, you know, and that feeling of like, oh, Ely's fresh, Ely's exciting, Ely's still moving forward in spite of, it's good for tourism. I think it's also good for the community to see that we're moving forward too.
Well, on my board member report, we had a Pony Express territory meeting today, and it was abysmal what they're dealing with, so. Thank you. Are there any questions on the financials? Do you have?
Just that we'll finish with a surplus again from what we budgeted, so.
Okay, let's move on to number 4, discussion and for possible action, ratify the bills. And again, I'll be abstaining from the back number bill as I have an interest in that number. And entertain a motion for our bills.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve payment of checks 24678 through 24750 in the amount of $136,329.90.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Marietta made the motion and Brian seconded. Any discussion on these bills? Looking them over. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 5, discussion and possible action, approval to pay the back lumber bill.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pay check number 24726 in the amount of $871.14 to Bath Lumber.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Marietta and seconded by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And 1 abstention. Thank you. The strategic plan, Kyle, number 6, discussion and for possible
All
action.
right, so it was brought to my attention last meeting or the meeting before that we actually did not make a motion to approve this. So we've had this draft strategic plan that's been out there. And so this was a good opportunity, mid to post-COVID, to kind of see kind of where we're at and see if we want to make any changes, additions, omissions, anything like that. I know there's always been a push to try to make this as streamlined as possible. So when I was going through this, I think some of the things that can be cut, I think the main thing that we need to focus on is the Southern Nevada and Utah market more than anything else. And since funding is, you know, limited to the amount of community marketing we can do, you know, one of the things that I was saying was is potentially just from the strategic plan scratching Arizona, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. Of course, they'll still be included in social media boost and post and things like that. But when it comes to media buys, commercial radio, PR, specifically who PR is sending stuff out to, I think Southern Nevada and Utah really is where we need to be putting our money. Some of the other stuff that I was looking at right there, you know, I don't, one of the whole things is I don't want to limit what we're able to market. I know outdoor recreation is our top priority in regards to how we're rebranding ourselves. But I still like the fact that arts and culture is in there, and the history is in there, just because it shows our commitment to a diverse community of what we're trying to offer. The reason that this strategic plan was laid out the way it was is because we were proposing additional line items in last year's budget, like public art and historic asset preservation. And so prioritizing this stuff in a strategic plan made sense to why we were going ahead and putting these additional line items in the budget. But other than that, again, this was kind of more of a wrapping up a loose end that had been sitting out there for a while. We need to adopt this, we need to go ahead and put it up on our website, but I wanted to have the board look at it one more time, make suggestions on how you would like to see this presented for the next year.
So we'll just be doing the calendar year, is that correct, or are we going to do fiscal?
We put this out as calendar year, in January is when this initially went out. And so this can apply for calendar year, or we can go ahead and adopt it and it can apply for fiscal year.
I kind of think that it'd be nice to stick with calendar simply because we're not sure in the next 6 months where we're going to be
Okay.
on things. I mean, I don't have any idea. So if we just do this for the next 6 months with the focus.
Okay. And I will just, again, I'll stress that when something's in a strategic plan as a priority, it's easier to rationalize when you're doing budgeting and stuff like that. So with suggestions of, you know, how to use funds for certain things, what we should be dedicating money for, you know, I feel like it should be in here first in order for it to go ahead and make it in here when we start doing the budgeting. So
Well, this aligns with where our budget is it has driven the budget for this year.
absolutely.
Okay.
The
So
strategic
we're in
plan
alignment.
drives the budget, yeah. And that's what I mean, I feel like we're in alignment right now, but if there's anything that you guys feel like have changed in addition to just focusing on Vegas and Utah, now's a great time to go ahead and do that, or we can go ahead and adopt it with those changes and we're good to go. We don't have to think about it for another 6 months.
Well, we'll have check-ins
Yeah.
to see where
Yeah,
we are on all
absolutely.
this. Because
Absolutely.
there's quite a bit of need in here as far as the, you know, where we are, you know,
Mhm.
where we need to be going. So I think that sounds good because our budget, you cut 20% out of it.
Mhm.
So we're not going to have the marketing money, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're gonna market lean, so in focusing on those markets. And here's a perfect example. Las Vegas News 13 just did a trips within 1 tank of gas, adventures that are 1 tank of gas from Las Vegas. Well, they promoted Arizona. They promoted Zion National Park. They promoted Laughlin. They promoted Pahrump. We're a gallon of gas away, and it's like you go down to Vegas and Pahrump is northern Nevada. Like that is the end of the earth for like people from, and so with stuff like that happens, we really do need to do a better job of courting Las Vegas, the news stations, the, you know, stuff like that just really reinforce, every time it comes back across my desk, it's like, yeah, why are we promoting out here when we have a huge population right here that still doesn't know we're around? So.
That sounds good. Any corrections other than the deletion of California, Arizona, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon, just for the focus? Obviously, there would
Exactly.
be spillover, but,
Broad marketing to those areas, but very specific media buys just in.
okay, with the focus on.
Yes. Okay.
No, I mean, it's all the stuff we wanted to accomplish in the beginning when we first set it aside. Now we're just narrowing it down right now for,
Effectiveness.
yeah.
Well, and when I read it, you know, we're marketing to a specific area, but we're driving community development, and that's what we should be doing with our money, is taking that, we're 1 part marketing, 1 part investing back into Ely, where other organizations can't invest in themselves, or, you know, other organizations don't have the means to do it. Room tax should be going into expanding our public art, it should be expanding our historic assets, it should be expanding our trail systems, because that is what our brand is.
So I would just, for proposal is, every month you take another part of this, of the priorities. There are 4 priorities, and just say what you've done, how you focused on that one priority.
Okay.
And, you know, pick a priority, I don't care. And just exactly what's happened on that. Because I don't necessarily see it here, but like, we have been talking about the events venue piece of marketing, and I have not seen that.
Yep, and that is one of those projects we've prioritized, and it just has not come to fruition
Right,
yet,
so, you know, really, if we're gonna talk about number one, then let's have a complete report of what exactly number one is happening, and whichever one you wanna choose. So every month we would add,
I'll pick public art for this meeting.
oh. Prager.
We just have something to
Well,
talk about.
you can really do it once the railroad track is there, and the
Right,
boulders and,
right.
and the weeds are out of the Elks Lodge, and, yeah, then you can brag.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, can I entertain a motion that would include the corrections that he's made, the editing?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2020 strategic plan with the changes of taking away Arizona, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and California from the strategic priorities.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion by Brian with a second by Marietta. Any further discussion? Just add page numbers to this?
I will add page
The
numbers.
adoption?
I will do the page numbers, the changes, and then I will change the top from draft to adopted, and we'll go up onto the website.
Perfect.
So,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Okay, discussion and possible action, review and approval of the capital and outdoor recreation grants. So,
we start with capital, since that's, we have the most,
sure.
we have the most requests. And so we did have almost double the amount, a little over double the amount of requests from money that we had in capital. So we have 55,000 in capital, and some of them, because we got not as much of a request in outdoor recreation. As we go through these, I've got a couple suggestions of how to move one to another, how to pay for it with, you know, other funds, and then hopefully open up more capital improvement funds to divvy out to more organizations. I think the more dollars we can get out to the community, the bigger of an impact it's gonna be, so.
Well, I for one am really pleased at the diversity. And of course, it's shock and awe when you see the 145,000, but no, I think people are
Almost three
thinking.
times the amount of.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think people are thinking of great projects, so, it's just really good to see on this. And so what I hear you saying is, because we have so many there, that some of these fit in outdoors, so to move them over.
Some of these I'm gonna suggest to move over to outdoor recreation.
Okay, so should we start with the Lund Rodeo Association? And again, this is the oldest, running rodeo in the state. And they have been terrific.
And they are great to work with. Last year, we started doing their marketing and their poster, which we're doing again this year, and so we've got that out. I went down and took a bunch of pictures for content. This year, we're gonna try to do a video, and so talking with those guys, they are still a go, and they did not apply for any funds in aid to organization for the event itself. And so this is the only request that they've made this year is for, essentially it's equipment and material. You can kind of see the fence and stuff like that. So it's to fix up their rodeo grounds, their chutes, things like that specifically. This is one of those projects that I would like to move over to outdoor recreation, if that's cool, and suggest moving the full request amount over to outdoor recreation.
Well, I was pretty impressed with, they're supplying all the labor, they're very skilled, so this is just a portion of what the project will cost. They certainly have not been asking for too much by any means.
No, they when they come with their hand out, it's very humble, it's very minimal, so, and I love helping them out. I mean, they really are a great group to work with.
No, they'll make that money go a mile.
Totally.
They
Yeah,
will.
they did.
So do you remember the dates in July?
I wanna say it's 17th through 19th,
Okay.
or somewhere in that.
Pioneer Day.
Yeah, isn't it around the
22nd through
24th?
It's like the weekend.
22nd through the 24th?
of July.
Yes.
22nd through the 24th,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I,
That sounds more reasonable, so.
it's Pioneer Days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're suggesting outdoor rec. Okay, the second one is Great Basin Business and Tourism Council with this display board. Do you wanna explain that?
Yeah, so that is essentially how Baker communicates with each other, and when people come to Baker, what they're wanting to do. They have a very beat up, falling apart board up there that's kind of in a nondescript place. And so what they're wanting to do is create a kiosk that's in a more centralized location in town that would be able to promote all the stuff that's going on in the county, all the stuff that's going on in Baker, their events, things that are happening at Great Basin National Park, stuff, essentially stuff like that, so they can be a part of promoting the entire county. And that's what their community display board. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like just local centric type stuff. I wanted to confirm with them that it was gonna be promotion of everything that was going on in the county. And that also includes any of the trail maps that we make up as well. So we are working with Main Street on trail map kiosks for downtown Ely, fairgrounds, Broadbent Park, stuff like that. Whatever we create there would also be included on that kiosk as well. So it would promote the outdoor recreation, countywide events.
Okay. I would propose on all of these requests that we just shave off the cents. It's too hard to calculate, so instead of 3,021.82, just forget the 82. Is that all right with everybody?
Sounds great.
So, Kyle, what are you recommending on that?
If the board is cool with proposing fully funding for that, I don't see any reason why not. It's a very small ask.
And they have not asked before by any means. Okay, the third thing is Great Basin National Park Foundation and the Osceola, I think that's spelled wrong, but Trailhead Kiosk.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And so this, I've sat in on a bunch of these meetings. It's Dave Tilford that is kind of pushing this. But it's a partnership between Forest Service, BLM, the wind farm out there is partnered on this. So they do have quite a bit of support. What they're proposing at that trailhead going up into Osceola, and then also to kind of access some of that other area there, a gazebo, an 8-sided gazebo where 7 of those sides will have historic information, geologic information. You're talking about the caves, the swamp cedars, mining history, things like that. So it would be a spice, and it's right there on that turn as once you pass the wind farm, and right there, and you've got that road that goes up to Osceola. They've already secured the location and secured almost all of their funding, but they're requesting $1,600, and we've not given anything to this project over the year that it's been developing, so this is the first ask that they've made. I think because this could also double as OHV, that we could rationalize moving this over to outdoor recreation.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a rest stop almost, what they're gonna have.
Like a rest stop,
Kind of.
trailhead kiosk, picnic area,
Yeah.
/ information
Yeah.
center.
I saw it the other day, where it's at, it's something out there.
Yeah. Well, this swamp cedar, isn't that the area that Delane is working on as far as the last little part for the Southern Nevada Water Authority to protect that? It's great cultural significance.
It's an endangered tree.
Mhm. Yeah, so, okay, then the fourth one is the community choir, the roof replacement, and I actually did call on this because it was a very lengthy explanation, and I wanted the Reader's Digest version of it, and so this would be the section 106 part of it. They're getting a tremendous amount of funding, and so similar to what we did before, just they needed the money for the, was it the
Engineering?
E-engineering, yes, they needed a specific amount. They have been able to
Qualify.
leverage this, what they've done, our donations are amazing. This is gonna be a great event center for us. That is what Brandy said, it is just that section 106 on the thing, and she was explaining all the different funding sources through brownfields, et cetera. It's gonna be magnificent.
So this is to make it a historical center, or to make it
An event center for all.
but a historical building within the parameters of what the historical building has to be.
Right, they're doing everything that way.
Yeah, so they're working with SHPO and having to follow all of
Yeah,
that
they
stuff.
follow the rules.
The master plan though is that it is gonna be a public performance hall, community arts center, you know, things like that. So they currently do not, because it is not ADA
Yeah.
and it is not compliant, so they have to go
Almost
through these steps to get it up to that level.
George, do you have a comment?
I do. If they don't plan on turning that building over to White Pine County, can't do it, folks.
Thank you
Tell you
for your
right now.
Could I
comment.
hear from the attorney on that, on George's allegation?
Yeah,
about
so,
being a nonprofit?
This has been something that's alleged for a long time. I guess a year, maybe 2 years ago, Steve Stork, God rest his soul, asked me to do extensive research on this and write an opinion paper. I did do that. It is my opinion that this does fall, not only within the statute, but the AG's office opined on the statute that this grant application uses. And it was kind of a similar situation. The AG office said, given the language of the statute, it's really broad, and as long as it's a community recreation center or, used to improve or create, or they use all these alternatives, improve, create, build upon, and then they use all the adjectives, recreation center, library, community, anything, and there's no, because